is Mark Carroll, and this is my Module 7 assignment for FTT 106, Gunsmithing Fundamentals, recorded on July 6, 2026. In this video, I'll demonstrate the core metalworking skills from this module: proper hacksaw use, cutting with and caring for files, and progressive sanding to a fine finish. And then I'll lay out and plan a complete fabrication project on the aluminum. And as you can see, I am still in a hotel, so it's going to be a very basic and truncated way of describing how I'll do all these things. I'll use some source imagery in my own images from the past when I did this before. And so, again, the life of an instructor never ends. So I'm still in South Carolina doing some training at one of the construction companies, teaching them how to do rigging. So let's get started. Before I pick up a single tool, I want to set the stage for safe professional work. My bench is clean and well lit, so every cut and detail reads clearly on camera. I'm wearing safety glasses, and I'll keep the area ventilated for the filing and sanding. As Module 7 emphasizes, good results start with good setup, a solid vise, controlled lighting, and the right protective equipment. With the Workspace ready, the first thing I need to do is prove my firearm is safe. So there is no ammunition in the Workspace. The weapon is clear, locked to the rear, and it is safe. And of course, if I were using the weapon for this video, obviously I would show this on screen, but I am not with my weapon at this moment, and it will not need to be required because I will not be touching a weapon for this presentation. Because this assignment potentially involves handling a firearm, I'm clearing it on camera before any bench work. Watch the muzzle, it stays pointing in the safe direction the whole time, and my trigger finger is indexed straight along the frame. First, I remove the magazine, cut off the feed source, then I lock the action open and turn the firearm so the camera can see the chamber. I'm visually confirming it's empty, and now I'm physically checking it with my finger. The firearm is clear, and it stays clear for the rest of this demonstration. Here is everything I gathered before recording so the demonstration stays focused. For part 1 through 3, I have scrap wood, metal, and plastic. My hacksaw, metal files, sandpaper, and progressive grits up to 600. And a file card for maintenance. For part 4, I have the piece of aluminum for my course materials, plus my layout tools: scriber, center punch, ruler, and square, and dividers along with the layout die. And I've staged the 4 numbered drill bits, the numbers 45, 31, 20, and 3. With everything ready, let's move into part 1. This is part 1, proper hacksaw use. I've marked a clear and cut line and clamped the workpiece low and tight in the vise to kill vibration. To get a straight, accurate cut, I focused on 2 things from the Module 7 lecture: body mechanics and blade control. I apply firm forward pressure on the push stroke. That's where the teeth actually cut, and I ease off on the return. And just as importantly, I keep the blade strictly perpendicular to the workpiece so it doesn't wander or snap a tooth to the blade. Let me break the mechanics down the way the module does. For body mechanics, I take a stable stance and let my arm drive a smooth, straight line motion, dominant hand on the handle, offhand supporting the front of the frame. For stroke technique, the teeth point away from the handle, so cutting happens on the push. I apply the light downward pressure and lift slightly on the return to preserve blade life. For alignment, any twist or bow makes the blade drift, so I keep the frame square to the work. Here's my finished cut. You can see it followed the line cleanly and squarely. Now, part 2, cutting with and caring for metal files. Proper technique matters for both accuracy, and safety. I secure the handle in the palm of my dominant hand and rest the fingers of my offhand near the end of the guide and control pressure. Files cut on the forward stroke only, so I press on the push and lift on the return. Dragging the file backward under load just dulls those hardened teeth. I'm using long, steady strokes to remove materials evenly across the whole face instead of digging into one spot. Two things separate a clean filed surface from a rounded, uneven one. First, angle retention. I resist the natural tendency to rock the file in a seesaw motion, which rounds over the edges. I lock my wrists and drive the file parallel to the work to keep the surface flat and planar. Second, maintenance. As taught in Module 7, I use a file card frequently to clear chips from the teeth because trapped filings cause pinning, deep scratches dragged across the work. And because files are hardened and brittle, I store them separate rather than clashing together in a drawer so the teeth stay sharp. Part 3 is sanding to a fine finish. I'm starting with this piece of metal that still shows the file marks and roughness. The whole idea behind working progressively through grits is that each finer grit only has to remove the scratch patterns left by the one before it. So before I move to a finer paper, I make sure every scratch from the previous grit is completely gone. If I skip ahead, those deeper scratches stay there, and the finer paper simply can't erase them, and I'd be working at it for hours upon hours upon hours. Let the grit do the work for you. Here is the progression in action. I started at 220 grit to knock down the file marks, and then step to 400 and finish at 600. The key trick from lecture: I rotate my sanding directions 90 degrees from each new grit. That crosshatch makes it obvious when the previous grit scratches are gone. Once the old direction disappears, I'm ready to move on. I use a backing block on the flat area so I don't dish the surface or round the edges. And I keep pressure firm and even. Here's a close-up of that final 600 grit surface. Notice it's uniform with a smooth satin sheen and no rogue deep scratches. Now, part 4, project layout on aluminum. First, I coat the surface with layout dye so my scribe lines show up crisp and high contrast. Using a hardened scriber against my machinist square, I lay out design. It includes one straight edge, one angled edge, and a radius edge that I scribe with dividers. Then I mark my hole centers with a center punch. The design has one hole for the number 45-bit, 3 holes for the number 31, and 1 for the number 28, and 1 for the number 3. And I'm calling out each size as I punch it so that it is clear on camera. Now I'll explain how I'd actually fabricate this piece, starting with tool selection. For the straight and angled edges, I use the hacksaw for bulk removal. It quickly severs the waste and leaves me just outside the line. For the radius edge, I'd switch to a half round or rounded file because a file gives slow, controlled removal right up to the scribe line without undercutting the curve. And for the holes, I'd use a drill press with the specified number of bits. The press keeps them perpendicular, and my center punch marks keep the bit from wandering. Sequence matters just as much as tool choice. I drill the holes first, while the block is still square, so I have flat parallel surfaces for clamp and the drill press vise. Next, I'd cut the straight and angle edges with a hacksaw. Doing that after drilling keeps the piece rigid during boring. Third, I'd keep the radius and deburr the saw cuts with files, bringing everything to the layout lines. Finally, I'd polish. If I reverse that order, say cutting the shape before drilling, I'd lose my clamping surfaces and reference edges, and the holes could easily drift off location. For the finishing work, I'd lean directly on the skills from parts 2 and 3. I'd start by filing to deburr every edge and bring it exactly to the scribe line. Then I'd run the progressive sanding sequence, 220, 400, and then 600 grit, alternating directions until the whole part carries a uniform satin finish to make it aesthetically pleasing. I'd break the sharp corners, keep one consistent grain direction across the faces, and finish with a clean wipe down. That's what turns a functional part into a professional-looking one. All 4 parts together, hacksaw work, filing without care, progressive sanding, and a complete layout and fabrication plan on aluminum. I'll keep my marked aluminum pieces required. My reference for this assignment is the Module 7 assignment, materials from the Sonoran Desert Institute, cited on screen. Thanks for watching. And here, also, these are image sources used in the slides and included for attribution. This concludes my Module 7 Metalworking Fundamentals demonstration for FTT 106, Week 7, Assignment 7, Module 7. Thank you and have a great evening.